So did you do anything interesting this week, Wenyan?
I don't think so.
So just remember that in future, if you ever do anything interesting during the week, remember, oh, I've got to remember this so that I can talk about it in my Saturday class. And hey, Lai, how are you today?
I'm fine, teacher.
Great, excellent. And so do you celebrate Christmas over there in Malaysia?
I don't celebrate.
And how about you, Pei?
I don't have celebrate the Christmas, but sometimes I will change the Christmas gift with my friend.
Oh, so you said I don't have. So just I don't usually celebrate Christmas. Oh, and Christmas has to be with a capital C, of course. Okay, hey Jeff, how are you today? Good. And Jeff, will you celebrate Christmas? No. Okay. So over here, it's a really big thing. It's like everybody over here celebrates it. Okay, so we have Shinra's going to be late. Nicholas and Core won't be here, sadly. So this is going to be like a really small class, actually, sadly. But nevertheless, we can still get started because it is 5 minutes past. Okay, everyone. Okay. So hope everybody is well today. I think there are only 4 of us. Anyway, so I'll show you what's on the agenda for today. So last time I asked you to rewrite the final essay that we looked at, the final example essay. So don't worry too much if you didn't get a chance to actually finish that and write it, because I'm actually not going to ask you so much for your homework like in the class, but there will be a time when I ask you to compare what you've done to a corrected version of the essay. So we'll spend some time going through that final example, and I'll show you the corrections, but they are just language corrections. And then we will talk about other aspects as well of the writing. And then we'll move on to looking at reading use of English part 2. And then we'll move on to reading and use of English part 5. If there's time, we'll have a look at grammar of as and like. And if there's still time after that, we'll look at phrasal verbs. Okay, any questions or anything any of you want to say? Okay. Right, now I'm going to zoom in on this because I realize that, of course, it's small writing. Easy for me to zoom in now. So this was the final sample essay that we looked at in the last class. So this is specifically what Breakout Room 4 had to look at. So, and then I asked you at the end of the class, could you all try to write your own corrected version of this? Because there are many language errors and just general problems in this answer. So I'll give you all a couple of moments to just read through that yourself, to remind yourself of the essay. So please read through this. I'm glad Anthony is here. Means our class is slowly getting bigger. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, teacher. I'm a bit late. Sorry about this.
That's okay. That's absolutely fine. So what we were doing just now is, so Anthony, I'll just briefly go back over what we're looking at, the writing homework. We're going to do some reading, use of English, if this time, grammar of as and like, and phrasal verbs. And I was just asking everybody to have another read over this piece here. So Anthony, I'll give you a moment to read over this to catch up. Okay, so by now you should have all read this. Now, as homework, I asked you all to have a look at this piece and then try to rewrite it without the language errors present. And so, first of all, I'd like to invite you all to use the annotation features, and I want absolutely everybody in the class to underline any mistakes, like language, vocabulary, grammar, punctuation, anything you can see in the piece. I'll just give you all a couple of moments to do that. Feel free to just use the annotation tools and underline anything that you see. Please do let me know if you're not sure how the annotation tools work. But they're like, as you can see, I'm writing here. So you can just click on menu and then annotations, and then just underline what you think might be a mistake. Great, thank you. Good underlining. Good, excellent underlining, everybody. Okay. So far, I can see underlining of, clear grammatical errors. Not so much underlining of vocabulary. Now, just out of interest, there is a grammatical error here, but also the phrasing, who is full in a sad mood. Very strange way of writing it. So what I'm going to do now, class, and thank you so much for underlining the mistakes that you see, is I'm now going to reveal to you a corrected version of the essay, but I have to really stress to all of you that all this version has done is quite literally correct the grammar and the language. That's the only thing that has been changed. Sorry. So I'd like you all now to read through carefully through the corrected version. Okay. Do any of you have any questions that you want to ask about this version here? So if there's anything here and you're wondering, okay, why was that corrected, or why is this like that? So any initial questions you want to ask before we talk about the corrected version? Okay. If not, then I just want to ask you, and you can tell me in the private chat now, if you prefer it to be private. Can any of you tell me whether or not you did the homework? So did any of you actually do your own version of this first essay here? Did you complete that homework? Just let me know in the chat with a quick yes or no. Okay, so if you did do it, definitely take a moment now to compare what you've written to some of the corrections here. Because if you have another correction, another way of wording something, but it's not exactly the way it's been worded here, then please feel free to share that, your correction. And it would be really good, beneficial for you to do that, because that way I can tell you whether you're right or wrong, whether the way you have worded it is acceptable or not. Because, for example, have a look at the green phrases. The green phrases here have been highlighted because there are two alternative ways that we can word this. So when it comes to talking about homework, so you can say, I tend to listen to music while I do my homework, or we can say, while doing my homework. Both phrases, alternative ways of saying this, are completely acceptable in this context. While I do my homework, while doing my homework. When we use ing in this form, while doing my homework, there's more of an emphasis on the process, putting you into the time frame of the process of you actually doing the homework. And sometimes there isn't anything more or less grammatical between this phrase or this grammatical construction. It really is just changing how you want the listener to kind of perceive the time frame. So in this instance, both are absolutely acceptable. You might find that you have an alternative way of saying this if you did the homework. If you did and you want to check if it's correct, please send it to me in the chat. I'm happy to correct you. If you want to do it privately or share it to everybody, that's absolutely fine. Have a look again now at this phrase here, also in the green. The lyrics don't distract me. The lyrics aren't distracting. Either way is perfectly fine. Oh, thank you. Thank you in the chat to the person who has sent me their their essay, their rewrite. I'll have a little read of that when you're all doing an exercise together, and I'll comment on it. Okay. So that the lyrics don't distract me, or that the lyrics aren't distracting. Both forms are absolutely fine. And have a look at this one here. Kind of similar to the variation we have up here of homework, but this time of exercise. So listening to music while doing exercise, or listening to music while exercising. Note how if we include the do phrase, then the ing goes on the do and we lose it from exercise. So either while exercising or while doing exercise. I've also put some text in red as well. Now, I think that 2 of them you will already know for sure. I think you'll already know this one, right? I find that. This is a really nice phrase to use. It's very British, actually, so more British than it is American. So I find that it helps me too. So it's one of the opinion phrases that you can have, which is really good for the speaking part of the exam. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask each of you to give me an example sentence with I find that. And remember, this is an opinion phrase, so you can say anything. So for example, you could say, I find that tea makes me feel more awake than coffee. You know, it can be absolutely anything. Okay, so I'd like to start by asking Peggy, do you think you can make up your own example sentence with the opinion phrase, I find that?
I find that reading is interesting.
Good, excellent. Thank you very much. So we can say, there are 2 ways we can say this, I find that, or I find reading interesting. So if you want to have a noun after it, so a noun phrase, then we delete the that. Okay. But if we want to have a whole phrase, then we have that to connect the 2 phrases together. Okay. Lai, would you like to have a go, please, at using the phrase I find or I find that?
I find that mobile phones have improved many people's lives.
Yeah, okay. Good. Excellent. Thank you very much. Jeff, can you give us an example of a sentence with I find that or I find? Jeff, your microphone switched off?
Yeah, I find that or I find.
Either one.
I find English is easier than math.
Oh, great. That was a really good sentence. Thank you, Jeff. Anthony?
I find that exercise twice a week is a healthy style.
Okay, I find exercising or I find doing exercise. And I'll put that, I find exercising like very difficult, like for example, or I find that doing exercise is very difficult. So if we're going to have, we have 2 more participants in our class. Hooray, slowly our class grows bigger. So if we're going to have a verb form with the ing to form a noun phrase, then we delete the that. So I find exercising very difficult. Or if we want it to, what comes next to be a verb, I find that doing exercise is very difficult. I know, Anthony, that's not exactly what you said, but I'm just taking that example of exercise. Okay. So another really good phrase is tend to. I tend to. So tend to refers to the word tendency. So it means I have a tendency to. But we say I tend to. And in this example, I tend to listen to music while I do my homework or while doing homework. So Wanyan, can you tell me something that you tend to do?
I tend to listen to classical music instead of pop music.
Good, thank you very much. Okay, welcome Angela and Shinro. Shinro, do you think you can tell me something that you tend to do?
I tend to eat a lot of food when I feel stressed.
That was a great example, thank you. And Angela, can you tell me something that you tend to do?
I tend to sing some song while I was stressed.
Could you say that again, Angela? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
I tend to sing some song while I was stressed.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Now, just before the two of you arrived, we were talking about the phrase, I find that. So if we want to have I find, so this is basically just a kind of opinion phrase. So we can say I find that or I find. And normally it's I find if we're going to have a verb form with the ing as a kind of noun phrase. So for example, I find that exercising is difficult. But usually if it's any other kind of phrase with a subject first, so like it, a pronoun, or I find, or someone's name, or any kind of verb phrase, then we would use that to connect the two parts of the phrase. And what we have here, by the way, just to contextualize what we're doing. Oh, and here's Elia. Did everybody just have extra classes this morning? Because there were only 4 people in the class until just like a few minutes ago. Hi, Elia, nice of you to join us. Okay, so what I'm showing everyone here, and I'm just going to clear the annotations. This here is the example that Breakout Room 4 looked at from last week. Don't worry about it, Elia. I think not many people could make it on time today, so don't worry too much about that. So this was the essay example that Breakout Room 4 looked at, and then I asked you all if you could rewrite it as homework. Now, what I have here is I've done a corrected version, so I've corrected the mistakes. However, that's all I've done. I've only corrected the language mistakes. So those of you who just arrived, please take a minute to read through the examples here. We just talked about the ones in green. These are alternative ways, alternative grammatical constructions that fit and are completely fine sentences, and red are just some interesting phrases for you. So I'll give you people who just arrived a moment to read that. Sorry, class, I just realized I didn't highlight something to take in as a really good phrase. That should be in red. Can anybody tell me what this phrase means? To be in the mood. So the sentence here is, and I'm in the mood to listen to some music. Alaya, do you think you know what this phrase means? To be in the mood?
Maybe she wants to do something, depends on his mood.
Okay, yeah, it's to feel that you want to do something. So if someone says to you, do you want to go out to a nightclub tonight, maybe? And you say, no, I'm not really in the mood. And that means, no, I don't feel like doing that right now. So this is a really nice phrase to know, to be in the mood. We use it in a lot of contexts here. Okay, to open up in this context is just to click on YouTube or Spotify. Very straightforward. You can say just open YouTube or to open up YouTube. It's absolutely fine to say both, open or open up. We've talked about tend to, and I find that. And to get into a good rhythm, I thought that this was a really good phrase to use in this essay, because it's about music, isn't it? And how music helps you to, you can imagine yourself listening to the music and the music helping you exercise. So it helps to get you into a good rhythm. Okay. And I've also in red have the expression to take in knowledge. It's just another way of saying absorb, to absorb knowledge. So it's a very British saying to say something like, I'll give you all a moment to read the text and take it all in. And that means to absorb all of the information. And I'm going to put that there. So I'll give you the example sentence. So I'll give you all a moment to read the text and take it all in. That means to kind of absorb and process what it actually is you've read. I've used the context of reading, so reading a text, but it can just refer to information in general. So if you can imagine that you are with your best friend and your best friend tells you like something that you didn't know about their life, and maybe it was intense, something happened to them, and you're listening to your friend tell you about this. Well, sometimes when a friend tells you something like that, it does take you time to, take it all in. So that's another way in which you can use that phrase. It's not just limited to like textbooks, reading, but information in general. Okay, do any of you have any questions at all about this corrected version? Anything like you're not sure why I've corrected, or you're not sure why we can have both of the alternative phrases are completely fine, or any other vocabulary you want to ask about? Okay. Was there anything else that anyone changed in this essay that wasn't changed in the corrected version? Anything anyone wants to share? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Now, just to warn you, the next slide has a lot of text. Oh, let me, oops, sorry class, I didn't mean to click stop sharing. I meant to click to get rid of the annotations. Okay, I think that's done it. Excellent. Okay, so oh, I did it again. I'm so sorry, class. Okay, we're just going to, I'm going to separate this here. So what we have on the right side here is the essay that you just read in the previous slide. Okay, now I said to you that in the version I corrected, I only corrected the vocabulary and language errors, okay? And then I asked you all, was there anything else that you corrected? But you didn't say. So what I would like you to do now is I would like you to read the sample on the left here. Now this sample on the left is from the textbook. It does answer a different question, but I just want you to have a read of this essay on the left. I'll give you a couple of minutes to read through that, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions. Okay, so what I want to ask you all now is, so I mentioned to you that for the sample essay on the right, I've only done language and the grammar corrections. So what I want you to do now is I want you to compare the essay on the right to the essay on the left and tell me anything else you notice that's missing or could be improved at the essay on the right compared to the essay on the left here. Now, I'll give you a couple of moments to think about that. Please note down some of your own ideas. I'll give you about 5 minutes maximum to think about it, and then I will put you into breakout rooms to discuss it with each other before coming back to the class. And then in the class, I will ask you to share your ideas, okay? So 5 minutes to read through the essay on the left, and try to think of some ways in which the essay on the left could help improve the essay on the right. So what's missing or what could be changed in the essay on the right? Okay, so I've also now set up your breakout rooms. So remember that I'm not asking you to comment on language or vocabulary. It's other things that could be improved. Things that you can see, general sort of comments. You don't have to go into too much depth. Okay, class? So any ideas that you've had, I'd like you to now discuss with each other. So what I can do, although it's my hope that you've already taken your notes, if there are any of you who really need to see it again, I'll put in the chat the version from the book. Okay? And now the version from the student, who I will not name. Okay, class. So now I'd like you to share your ideas with each other in the breakout rooms. Ideas of what else could be improved in this essay. I will give you a big hint of which criterion this essay would score a low mark for. Structure. So hopefully your points that you've made, hopefully you noticed that by comparing the two essays together. We'll talk about that when you come back from the breakout rooms. For now, discuss your ideas. I'll just give you a few moments to talk to each other about this in the breakout rooms. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I keep clicking on all the wrong options in the menu. Okay, opening your rooms now, everyone. I look forward to hearing your ideas when you come back. Jeff, can you join your breakout room, please? Hey everyone. We're just waiting for the people in breakout room 4 to come back. All right, everyone, great. So in breakout room 1, do you have any comments at all about the structure? So that was Pei and Shinra.
Yes, so the structure we have discussed that is about the paragraphing problem, which means in the second essay, the first and the last paragraph is too short and the middle one is too long. However, in the first essay, it is quite balanced for every paragraph.
Good, good.
And then we also discussed that the writer for the second essay should describe the reason, such as when or why he or she liked to listen to music. It could describe more about it.
Good. I completely agree with that, and I'm very pleased that you realized this. Good.
Yes, and one more is Pei has suggested that the writer for the second essay can give some example, like to describe the specific type of music he or she like, instead of just cover every type of music.
Okay, very good. So actually, what Pei has said is essentially the same kind of point that you made just a moment ago, Shinra. We have a name for this, and overall name for this is expanding on answers. Okay. So we say that whenever you make a point, whether it's speaking, whether it's writing, you need to expand on that. And there are different ways in which you can expand on your answers. So for every point that you make, you need to expand. And the ways you can do this, I'll give you a list. So further explanation, so explanation, examples, or justification. So those are typically the 3 ways in which that you can expand on an answer. So if you say, I like music, okay, that can be your point. Then you need to think about, how can I expand on this? Well, you could expand on that by explaining why you like music. Or better still, you could expand on this by being specific, saying what kind of music you like, explaining why you like it. So then you have examples and an explanation. Now, justification, that is very similar to explanation, but they can be different. So for example, if you're writing an essay and you have an example and you've explained your point, you could still justify that in terms of why it's relevant to talk about it. So how is it relevant to answering the question, for example? But explanation and justification can be quite similar. They can also be quite different, but there's not much of a difference between them for the FCE exam. Not really much. When you do more academic writing, then there will be a big difference between the two. Okay, I really loved what you said. I completely agree that, yeah, I mean, this is clearly an introduction paragraph and this is clearly a conclusion paragraph. And usually these would be shorter, usually, but I agree. It's just, these are too short and then this middle one is just a bit too thick, isn't it? So there's some issue with paragraphing here. Okay, good. Now, breakout room 2, do you have any further comments that you would like to make? So breakout room 2, oh, sorry, no, breakout room 2, no one was in that. Sorry, breakout room 3. So Wanyan and Angela, do you have any further comments to make, even if it's just coming out of more examples for what's already been said?
We think that the first paragraph has more linkers. However, the second The first essay has more linkers, however, the second one doesn't have much.
Good, exactly. So I actually kind of gave you some clues of underlining and in bold, but the real reason I did this is for the next exercise that you're going to do, which is going to be harder in a way than the one that you just did. Okay, yeah, you're talking about words like although, right?
Yes.
Good, perfect, well spotted, absolutely. Now, you know, they could have made it better with having a bit of variation, but certainly, yes, the fact that they are there is very good. Now, I just want to ask you, what do you think is the purpose of this linker in terms of, you know, what it is that's being said, first of all, here, and second of all, in the paragraphs as a whole? What do you think their purpose is? Because they have a very specific purpose. And I'm wondering if any of you
It
spotted
brings
it.
out the benefit of this exercise.
Okay, in this paragraph, yeah, okay. It brings out the benefits, but this sentence in and of itself doesn't, does it? But I think what you're, oops, oh, why does this always happen? But I think what you're saying is that this sentence helps to emphasize the benefits, right? I think this is what you mean. Okay, any other ideas from anyone what these of the purpose of these might be? I've underlined them for a very specific reason. And we did talk about it, but only once before. Okay, so in this sample essay from the book, this linking phrase, although, the purpose of it is to give a balanced opinion. Because we have the benefits here, but we have some statement here of, although it's quite a rough game with complicated rules. Oh, hang on 1 second, class. Sorry about that, class. It's been a little bit nervous in our house because we had a COVID test recently after being exposed to someone with COVID, and we only just got our results. They're negative, so we're really happy about that. No one's sick in the house, thank goodness. Okay, sorry about that, Claire, that interruption. So I mentioned to you in the past that in an essay, if you, well, when you're presenting a view, something that you like, or maybe if the question asks you to give advantages and disadvantages, it's always good for you to present what's called a balanced opinion. So this example essay here on the left, this could just talk about how great rugby is. It could just talk about how amazing it is, but it hasn't. It's included some balanced opinion here. The fact that it's complicated and that it's rough. The fact that you can sometimes get hurt. And this is really good, a good balanced opinion. Now, this isn't necessarily in the criteria. However, it does look very good to the examiner when the examiner is reading and they see that you've considered a more balanced approach. Do you think that the essay on the right has this? I would say no. I would say that it doesn't. Okay, so thank you so much, Breakout Room 3. That was an excellent point that you pointed us towards, although. Breakout Room 4, Anthony, Jeff, and Lai. Is there anything about structure that you want to say about these essays?
I think he can add like the time or when does he started listen to the music, and I think it can add some occupation or like some profession that people can do in the future.
Hey,
And
very,
some
yeah.
recommendation to the type of people that can suit for like listening to the music.
Good. I like that answer. That's very nice. But something I will say, however, is that it really depends on exactly what the question is. So it could be that in the question for the essay on the left, that they were specifically asked to give a recommendation. But maybe for the essay on the right, maybe they weren't asked to do that. So this is an important point. Now, all of your answers, everything you've said to me so far have been really good, because not only have you thought about structure, but you've also thought about the criteria for content as well. Because part of the criterion for content is that the reader is fully informed. And by giving them information such as, when you started listening to music, why you listened to music, whether or not you recommend it, that could be considered a more fully informed answer. So I would say that the essay on the right also doesn't get so highly for content. So not just structure, but content. They could say a little bit more. Okay. Now I realize that it's 9 o'clock and there's a break. When we come back from the break, I have another exercise for you regarding this slide and these pieces. And then we'll be able to move on to reading and use of English part 2. Okay, everybody? So I will see you back here in 10 minutes time. Thank you so much, everyone. You're doing really well. Hi, everybody. So I think that's been about 10 minutes now. Yeah, I'll just wait for all of you to switch your cameras on. Great. Okay, thank you, everybody. So we're going to do a strange exercise now. We're going to, oh, here's Angela. We're going to do an exercise, but we're going to do it a little bit backwards. And I'll explain my reasoning in a moment. Okay, everyone. An interesting exercise. No idea if you'll find it easy or more difficult. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so do you remember, like in the past, I've said to you that one key way in which can help you improve the structure of your essay is that you actually use the question itself to help you to structure the answer. You remember I said this to you all? Okay, so if you remember that in the question, you underline the key things that have to be talked about, and then how you can use those key things to determine how many paragraphs you need and what should be the topic of each paragraph, for example. Okay, well, I'm going to illustrate the importance of that by working a little bit backwards with you. And before I explain what that means, I want all of you to do a little exercise for me. And the first part of the exercise is this. I would like each of you to tell me what each paragraph is about. Okay, so in the chat box, can you tell me what is the main topic of this paragraph here that's highlighted? Now, at this stage, I won't be saying, yes, you're definitely right, or no, you're completely wrong. I'll just be saying, oh yeah, could be that, could be this. But what do you think so far? Okay, so we've got one answer, the time when he or she played rugby. Okay, maybe. Any other ideas? Any other ideas? Can you type into the chat, please? And don't worry, we'll all get a chance to speak. Okay, so some other answers we've got is when and why the writer started playing rugby, and another one about his favorite sport. Okay, so you've all got some idea of this. And what about this second paragraph here? What is like the topic? What's this paragraph about? Okay, yeah. So quite a few people are saying the benefits of playing rugby. Yeah, I think that's likely as well. Definitely looks that way. And what about this final paragraph? So we have one answer as a recommendation for playing rugby. Are we all in agreement? Okay. Yep, seems like we're all in agreement. Okay, so that was clear, wasn't it? Well, at least I think so. Okay, so now let's compare how easy it is when we look at the sample essay from the student. So I'm now going to pick on particular people. Shinro, what do you think this first paragraph is about?
In my opinion, I think that is about what is music.
Okay. Yes. Good. I would definitely agree with that. Okay. And Peggy, what do you think the second paragraph is about?
This paragraph is talk about why he like to listen to music.
Oh, sorry, my cat just just ran up my back. Why are cats so crazy? Okay, could you say that again, Peggy? Sorry.
The paragraph is talk about why he like to listen to music.
Okay, are we all in agreement, everybody? Does everybody agree with Peggy? So the paragraph talks about or is talking about. Okay. So yes, there is a little bit there of why they listen to music. There's also a little bit of like at what time, like when they can listen to music. And yeah, it's quite strange because normally we would separate that into 2 paragraphs. So we would have when you listen and the reasons why maybe would be better in 2 paragraphs and separate paragraphs. Okay. And what do you think about this last paragraph here? What is this?
I think it is about music bring many benefit. I mean, music has many benefit.
Okay, so it's a conclusion, isn't it? This last one. Okay, so what I'm now going to do, what I want all of you to do now, which is the difficult task that I've been leading up to, you probably noticed that I didn't include the questions for either of these essays. Well, that's because that's because you're going to figure out what the question is. Yeah, I know. It seems like a very strange exercise, and this is what I meant when I said you'll be doing an interesting exercise, but you'll be doing it backwards. Okay, so follow my logic here. So first of all, I said to you that the question you can use the question in order for you to know exactly what information you need to include in your essay. And also you can use the question to give you an idea of structure as well. So on the basis of that logic, you should, in theory, be able to figure out what the question was just by reading the answers. If the answers are good enough, that they have very good coverage of the content and they are well structured enough, then they should be able to give you an indication of what the original question actually was. Please don't cheat because you know you've seen these questions in the past. Please only use the information that you see right in front of you. So I'll give you a couple of moments, so maybe 5 minutes maximum, to individually by yourselves look through the 2 essays and try to figure out what the question might have been for each one. And don't tell me your answer yet. Just think of a possible question for each one, for each essay. So we have a couple of people have finished their questions already. So for those of you who have finished, I just want to ask you a very quick question. Was it easier to guess the question of one essay compared to the other? Right, cat, go away. Okay, Lai, if you don't mind me asking, which one do you mean by the first essay? You mean the student essay or the essay about rugby or the essay about music was easier?
Rugby is the first essay, and the music is the second essay.
Okay, yeah, good. And we'll be discussing soon why that's the case. And these points are very important, pertinent for structure, to give you tips for structure for your future essays. Okay, great. Class, I want to put you in breakout rooms just for a few moments. I just want you to talk to the other person in the breakout room about what you think the question was for the essay about rugby and for the essay about music, okay? And I want you to compare what you think with a partner and justify why you think that is the answer. Sorry, that was the question even. And I want to copy and paste these again so that you have them with you to help to compare both of your questions to the essays. When you come back, I will show you the correct answers, so the correct questions. First of all, showing you and highlighting the question for the rugby essay, and then we'll discuss the second essay. Okay? So I'm going to open up your breakout rooms. Oh no, Wanyan, you appear to be by yourself. So I'll move you to breakout room 1 and opening your breakout rooms now. So I'll just give you 5 minutes maximum. Anthony, can you join your breakout room, please? Anthony? Anthony, are you there? Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to now show you the answer to, or I should say the question for this first one. So take a moment to read this question. Okay, now honestly, class, how similar or not similar were your questions? Now for this, you can just tell me like, oh, the same or very similar. So, Shino, how similar was your question?
I think it's just similar but not very.
Okay, that interesting. Pei, what about your question?
My question has just like about when did you started, and then others is not quite same.
Okay. And Lai, was your question similar to the question here?
No, I think I just similar thing I think is about the right a sport, your favorite sport. Yeah. I think
Okay.
this is the similar part.
Okay, thank you. And Alaya, how about your question?
Not really same.
Yes, okay, good. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you why, so, and also justify the kind of the rationale behind doing this exercise with you. Now, we've actually done this exercise before, but we did it in the usual way. So what we did is we looked at the question first, and in the past, we underlined the different parts, and we used that to help us plan a structure for an essay. This time, I've decided to repeat the task, but to do it backwards in order to reinforce this idea of a well-structured essay reflects the question, and the question should help you to structure the answer. So let's have a look. Now we're going to have a look at the rugby example here. I've actually emboldened the key sort of ideas of each paragraph. So identification of the sport and when they started playing, like when and how they started playing. That is the subject of the first paragraph. And because this is the subject of the first paragraph, we can guarantee that this was part of the question. The question would have asked, what is your favorite sport? When and how did you start playing this? So this is just me reinforcing to you the relationship between structure of the answer and the question itself. Now, if we move on to the second one, as you rightly identified, it talks about the benefits. Now, if we go back to the question though, it didn't actually ask for benefits, did it? It asked for you to describe a sporting activity, a form of exercise you enjoy, how you started, and why you would recommend it to other people. Now, when it comes to your writing exam, you absolutely have to address everything in the question. But sometimes the question doesn't ask you to do enough that would cover 2 to 3 two main body paragraphs, 2 to 3. So you might want to put a little bit extra. but as long as it's still relevant. So describe a sporting activity that you enjoy. So, you know, it makes sense for you to have a paragraph that talks about why you enjoy it. And in the example here, they've discussed the reason why being related to benefits. So they've devoted a paragraph to that. So they've devoted a paragraph to the point of describing a sporting activity, saying why they enjoy it, how they started, and why they would recommend it. Because why they would recommend it is clearly the subject of the final part. They've built it into their conclusion. So I hopefully this essay and going through this exercise with you really helps to demonstrate exactly how you can use the answer to help you to structure your essay. I've done this in a previous class with you by showing you, hey, here's this question, underline all the important bits, and then we practiced writing topic sentences. So this is another thing that this essay has. It has topic sentences. These topic sentences help us to identify the topic of each one. I love playing rugby. Bit of a short one. But all of these devices, so making sure the topic is very clear within each paragraph, sectioning them off, really good. Okay, so now let's compare this. So I'm going to clear the annotations even, not animations. I'm now going to show you the question, so number 2. It was very vague, the question, however, and it was from the mock exam. Have a little read and compare your own questions. Okay, so I'm not going to ask you how similar or different were your questions. So I'll start with Alaya this time. Alaya, was your question the same or similar or completely different?
Completely different, because I thought the question asked about hobby.
About what, sorry?
Hobby, and the writer write about his hobby is listening to music.
Yeah. Good. Okay, yeah, I can totally understand that. I mean, the whole point of this exercise was for you to realize, because basically in this example on the left, it's structured so well that you can guess what the question was, even without seeing it. But I said to you that on the right, the structure had a lot of issues. And because of that, it should have logically been much more difficult for you to figure out what the question is for this one. So let's have a look at that question again. When do you listen to music? How do you choose what to listen to at different times? So when you listen to music could have comprised paragraph 1. How would you choose what to listen to? Could comprise paragraph 2. But to be honest with you, that's not a lot of it. That would only give you 2 paragraphs. You would still need a good and clear introduction and a conclusion, of course. So if you were able to cover this point in main body paragraph 1 and this point in main body paragraph 2, then you could feasibly, put a little bit more information. So for instance, in your conclusion, as Lai suggested, you could actually include a little recommendation, for example. But yeah, so let's have a look now at the candidate's answer. So this introduction talks about music as something that can heal someone, a person who feels sad. So when you're writing an essay, you should introduce your readers to the topic more generally. So music is something that, I mean, that does start quite general, but then it goes quite specific. Someone who feels sad or can even comfort animals and plants. That's a little bit too specific. Having a general introduction to music is good, but look at this point here. It's also something that is quite difficult to learn. And I'm wondering why the person chose to write that, because they don't elaborate on it anywhere at all. They don't talk about it ever again. So I wonder, I think that this is irrelevant because they didn't elaborate on it. Now, so in an introduction, you want a general overall introduction to your topic, to the topic that you have to write about. It should also be, you know, quite clear that that is the main topic that was asked about in the question. And also what you should have here, outline sentence. Now let's go back to the question. Let's see what our outline sentence could have been. When do you listen to music? And how do you choose what to listen to at different times? I'm going to just keep this in the chat because I have a terrible memory. An outline sentence in an introduction gives your readers an idea of what it is you will talk about in your essay. And you can use that as a way to improve your structure. So for instance, you could have, it could be something as overt as this essay will. It could be something explicit like this, or your outline sentence could be a little bit more subtle. So, so you could say music is something we listen to and is enjoyed by many. And then you could, so then as your outline sentence, you could say, when people choose to listen to music and their reasons behind their decisions can differ widely. And then in your paragraphs, you would then relate it more personally to yourself. But the point of me showing you this is how an outline sentence can help you with structure. So let's pretend that this essay will, or people, when people choose to listen to music, shows your readers that this will be the topic of your first main body paragraph, and the reasons behind their decisions will be the topic of the second main body paragraph. So having an outline sentence like this will, and obviously a general introduction, will really help. Please don't mention anything in your introduction that you do not intend to elaborate on within the main body. So this comment, it is also something that is quite difficult to learn. Well, that's kind of irrelevant. It doesn't really answer the question, and it's not elaborated on at all in the rest of the essay. So I put this in red to be like, no, don't do this. And then for each, so in the essay on the left, we have a topic sentence for each paragraph. So it was very clear, it was very easy for you to tell me what each paragraph was about. However, this paragraph on the right here had more than one main idea. And in English, each paragraph has only one main idea. Okay, any questions about this at all? So earlier, I think it was, Shadil, I think it was you who said that the introduction and conclusion was too short. Well, we can definitely make the introduction a bit longer by including this outline sentence or an outline sentence. And your conclusion could be a little bit longer. It doesn't have to be much longer because it's just a conclusion, but typically conclusions sum up the main points. They make some sort of inference based on what has been said, or a conclusion can justify the importance of what has been said in terms of answering the question. Okay, everyone, do you have any questions about anything we've discussed before we move on to the reading task? I'm hoping that was very useful for you. My strange backwards approach. Okay, everyone. So a chance for you to have a little break from my voice. I would like you to have a look at the text on page 107. It's Reading and Use of English Part 2. I want you to read through it at first, ignoring the gaps. And then I want you to work alone to try to figure out what word best fits in each gap. Good luck, everybody. Just a short text. You should be able to do it in 10 minutes. Okay, class. So let's have a look at those answers. I'll share the page here. The first one has been done for us. Now remember that for this one, you don't have any kind of clues, any words in bold.
Teacher?
Oh, yes, Jeff?
I have somewhere to be. Like right now. I need to go there now. So can I leave now?
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you,
Of course,
teacher.
Jeff. Okay, so this first one here. So if you don't mind, Lai, can you read from here until here, please?
Most people want a busy shopping street in their town with bazaars, bookshops, boutiques, caves, and restaurants. That makes it depressing to see so many shops become vacant.
Okay, so can you pronounce this word, please?
Caves,
Cafes, like a cafe.
cafes,
You know, like a cafe that you go to for a cup of tea or a coffee or a little bit of cake. So a cafe. Can you pronounce this word again?
vacant,
Vacant. It's a cut sound. Okay, so if you see a C plus I, E, or Y, then it equals an S sound. So like cycle or sell. But if you see a C plus A, O, U, or any other consonant, then it's a cut sound. So because it's a CA, it's vacant, vacant. Okay, now Lai, your answer wasn't correct. However, you got the correct type of word. I mean, it's the answer here is which, but I have to tell you that that fits as well. It's just not the answer given in the book, which is very annoying because it really should accept which or that, because both would be grammatically fine. So let's just say the answer is which, but I'm sure that in the exam they would give you the answer if you said that. Okay. This means this is something that makes it so depressing to see. Okay, so I want to ask somebody I've asked in a while. Angela, can you please read this sentence starting with experts up until this point?
Teacher, can you repeat?
Yeah, can you read the sentence starting experts?
Experts predict that many shops becoming vacant. Experts predict that up to 40% of shops will be forced to close in the next 5 years.
Good, excellent. Up to 40%. Great work, thank you. Alaya, could you please read this sentence up until the word locally?
No one wants to see their high street shops disappear. But why would people want to shop locally?
Good. Oh, it is so difficult to write on here. Excellent, good. Okay, Peggy, could you please read from the word internet and up until, yes, if you could read from internet until online. So you're giving 2 answers. Good luck, Peggy.
Internet shopping sites offer discount price along with 24/7 shopping and deliveries. According to a recent report, Some products, such as toys, are as much as 60% cheaper online.
Good, good. According to, oh, this is so difficult. And yes, as much as. Brilliant, very good. And Wenyan, could you please read from here until the word unique? So you also have 2 answers to give. Good luck.
Local shops should be more on clubs which provide personal service and social relationship, and each shop should be seen on something unique.
Okay, can you repeat what number 6 was? So I didn't quite catch what you put for the answer number 6.
My answer for both of it is on.
Okay, it's not on, more like clubs. And number 7 is also not on. It is as. Should be seen as something unique. Okay. And number 8, Shinro, would you mind reading from the word 2 until, you might as well just read to the end.
Okay. To meet this need, in some parts of the world, shops shut for hours during the day, then do excellent business in the evening, when they aim to give customers a more satisfying experience than they would ever have from shopping online.
Brilliant, excellent, well done. Fantastic, thank you very much, everybody. So my impression is that for a lot of you, this one is getting a little bit easier, because this was something that a lot of you struggled with a lot at the beginning. Now, there are quite a few other exercises. However, I know we have a few people missing from the class right now, so I wouldn't really be comfortable giving an extra half hour when quite a few of you are actually missing or not here. So shall we can call it a day for today, but I of course I'm not going to forget that there are 2 more sessions that you need for half an hour as well. So there are 2 more weeks, we'll do half an hour, but it won't be next week because next week is Christmas. So it'll be Christmas Day over here in the UK. So this is a family holiday for everybody. So I will be seeing you probably the week after next, I think. Actually, I need to check with Miss Wong exactly on the dates of everything, but I will be in touch with all of you. And also I will give you some homework, of course. I would like you to look at the phrasal verbs on page 1 and exercise 1 and 2 on page 111. And you could, if you wanted more practice in reading, look ahead at Reading and Use of English Part 5 as well. That is on, sorry, I realized I didn't give you the page number, but that is on page 108. And it's exercises 2 to 3. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. And I will see you all. We'll see you all soon, and we'll be in touch with any clarification regarding like when the course finishes and starts again next year. Okay, class? Take care, everybody. Goodbye. And I know you don't celebrate it, but I want to say Merry Christmas to all of you, even though you don't celebrate it. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, everybody.